Are we ready now, Stephen? Nope.
I think we might be, Don. The graphic went down.
Now it's not. Now it is. I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to call this meeting of the Glendale Village Council to order and begin, as we always begin, with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we will now recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
to the
of the
state,
United States of America,
to the republic,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
And I will ask everyone to stay on mute unless they are speaking. And we will note that this meeting is being held on a virtual meeting, but we have complied with all applicable requirements of the state of Ohio to hold this meeting virtually and not in person. I'll begin by asking our clerk to call the roll to ensure that we have a quorum. Madam Clerk?
Okay, roll call. Mr. Bessel.
Here.
Mr. Howeller.
Here.
Ms. Duke.
Here.
Ms. Masenko.
Here.
Mr. Baysmith.
Here.
Mr. Kreidler.
Here.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I offer to Steve, our host, that the graphics remain on the television while we're convening the meeting. I don't think that he's transferred our video to the link yet.
Okay. Stephen, can you fix that?
We are live right now on YouTube. I'm not sure what the question was.
I'm actually watching live YouTube and the graphics remain on the screen, but we can hear each other.
See if you can get the video up there on YouTube, Stephen, please.
I have it up on YouTube, so I'm not sure. Wally, you might just try to refresh.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just got a text from Chief Warman that he's out with the COVID.
Yes, I know.
Okay, and there's 3 other people with him at the station that are out with it. So he's not going to be able to attend tonight.
Oh, all right.
Okay. I just let him know that.
Yeah, please, we'll all want to convey our best wishes for his speedy recovery. I'm going to just begin with the agenda, and there's a couple of unusual points to it. And I think for the benefit of people watching this who haven't watched it before or don't remember what we did last January, our January meeting is a little different from other meetings. And it's because it includes the regular meeting of council plus the organizational meeting of what is theoretically a new council. And so we start with the regular meeting to just wrap up any business that might have been on our plates before, from December, from last year. We then adjourn on something called sign die, although I've heard it pronounced lots of different ways. Basically, it means no date or not specifying a time when we will reconvene. So this is after we adjourn, sign die, we are in our organizational meeting, and we go through a series of motions that just relate to the housekeeping of the council. Once that is over, we adjourn from sign die and we go into our regular meeting. There will be one change in the agenda from our regular meeting, and all of council is aware of this. We have ordinance 2020-03 regarding budgets has been removed from the agenda. And just by way of explanation, while our employees and officials worked very hard to come up with a lean and balanced budget, we did come up short by about $100,000. Which is to say expenses exceeded revenues by $100,000 in our operating budget. However, this is reduced because each year the county auditor requires that we budget based on an assumption that we will not get 3% of our property tax. We always get that, thank goodness. Our Glendale residents do pay their taxes, and that adds $54,000 to our revenue, which means the true deficit is going to be about $46,000. However, we on council and in the government still feel that we should take make one more effort at eliminating even this deficit. And we will be meeting later this month to work on this and develop a budget that can be passed at the regular meeting, which is scheduled for February 1st. In the meantime, we are operating under a continuing resolution, which does allow us to continue to pay the bills that the village incurs and that are necessary to keep the village running. So from the resident standpoint, there will be no there will be no change. With that, I'll begin with the mayor's prayer, as we always do. And so everyone will assume whatever position they assume for prayer. O Lord, we have entered into a new year, leaving behind a year of much difficulty and uncertainty. The village has borne its share of hardship in 2020, but we know that many have fared far worse. We humbly pray that our village and our neighbors will find relief from the COVID disease in this year of 2021. We also pray that you will give us the understanding hearts to live with and respect our neighbors of all races and religions and any other ways in which they may differ from one another. In 2020, our village lost some 25 current and former residents. Please welcome them into the next life and comfort their families and loved ones. We were also fortunate to welcome 3 new births into the village. Please help their parents, friends, and neighbors guide them as they grow into happy and productive citizens. While Glendale has indeed suffered some hardships this year, we are grateful that we have been spared many of the natural and human-made disasters that have befallen many areas of our nation and the world. We pray that you will speed the recovery of those who have suffered and allow them to rebuild their communities and their lives. For those of us charged with governing our village, we pray that you will give us the vision to see the right course, even when it is unclear, and to take the right course, even when it is hard. In faith and hope we pray, amen. We will now turn to the minutes. We have 2 sets and we'll start with the minutes from the regular council meeting of December 7th. These have been circulated, amended. The final version has been circulated. So I would request a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. We have the minutes from the special council meeting of December 15th. And this was to take care of a couple of matters that couldn't wait until this meeting. And so they've been circulated, they're very short. I am asking for a motion to approve these minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the December 15th special council meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, we now have the public presentation section of our agenda. And the first resident on the list is Bill Parrish. Mr. Parrish, are you around? Are you here?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Parrish, please proceed with what you wish to say.
Okay. I'm Bill Parrish of the Eckstein Cultural Arts Center, a 501c3 arts organization in the village of Glendale at 220 East Sharon Road. I'm here tonight to give council a heads up on what might be coming your way. The Eckstein Cultural Arts Center would like to schedule our formal presentation meeting for the Planning Commission this month for review and consideration before council decides on what we're presenting. For a little background, this past June 2020 through October 2020, the Eckstein Cultural Arts Center sponsored a series of 8 bi-weekly meetings with 20 people from the village of Glendale. This group was intentionally diverse, 10 Black, 10 white, both male and female, at the Scout House for 3 hours from 6 to 9 p.m. Aside from having a difficult dialogue, we arrived at a goal to discuss tangible ways in which we could not only address race in the village, but ways that we could actually impact the village in positive ways. Our discussions were phenomenal. It was a great 8 weeks. And in what came out of those meetings we emerged with 4 concepts that we felt were doable and tangible. The concept that emerged as our first effort was the creation of an Underground Railroad walking tour of the village of Glendale. Now, I don't want to unpack the details and all of that during this. I would save that for the planning meeting. But at this point, I would like to share that we have a professional PowerPoint presentation outlining the details. That includes our rationale behind this whole process, the discussions, how we arrived at this, preliminary process, 3-phase process, and a production schedule. And we also have the overall estimation only of the cost. We have one bid that's already currently, that we already have, and we're waiting for the second bid, which we should get any day now. I'd also like to note that the Eckstein Cultural Arts Center has already been granted the funding for this project should council approve. So we are hopeful tonight that we can schedule a meeting with the Planning Commission as soon as it's possible to present our full presentation. Thank you for allowing me to share our presentation during this time.
Thank you. The next presenter on the list is Kevin Parrish. Mr. Parrish, are you available? Kevin Parrish, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, I'll start my timer then. My name is Kevin Parrish, resident of the village of Glendale at 176 Washington Avenue. I had several issues to address. The first one was the December 15th special council meeting, which addressed issues of the CMOM plan, which is a comprehensive plan to address the issues of the wastewater treatment plant and do something about all of these overflows and residents, invasions of water and all of this stuff. Not to go into a lengthy conversation, but anybody in the village of Glendale who is interested in the packet that was submitted to the Ohio EPA by the village of Glendale, along with the correspondence letters, please get in touch with me. My email address is kevinleroyparrish@gmail.com. My phone number is 513-498-3210. Anyway, at the Glendale Public Records meeting, Mayor Lofty, you and David seem to think that my public records requests are just a waste of your time. But public records are an accurate documentation of your record keeping skills, and it seems to be lacking. I filed this public record request for some information about construction that was going on in front of my house, less than 300 feet, with a collage of pictures of the people who were working there and the hose and what was in the hole in the cavities that they dug up. But you seem to think that you don't have to produce those documents. And trying to discredit me, you discredit Televac Environmental Service Company, which does all of our scoping of our pipes. Their credibility is impeccable because they make sure that they document, timestamp, date, and the amount of footage that they're scoping with videotape. But yet you can't find that date. That's okay. Now, I've been bringing issues about the wastewater treatment plant, the Ohio EPA's violations that we constantly go up under, the raw sewage that was on this latest occasion on the 1st of January being dumped into the creek because of overflows, and the enormous amount of man hours that the fire department puts in addressing these issues for residents. Yet you have your heads in the sand as this doesn't exist. Now, lately, even the finance department has gotten along and on board with this conspiracy because there's a lack of transparency of showing exactly how many man hours are going toward the fire department and employee compensation. Now, many residents, they tolerate these frequent occurrences, but I noticed that on the Glendale, Ohio discussion group that Mr. Marr brought out his complaint, and Mayor Lofty, you told him to just call down to the village administration and we'll get you with the fire department so that they could pump that out. So that means that you know about the problem and have been known about the problem. But really what's really apprehensible is that you have not warned the public of the biohazardous material that they're being exposed to in this village on a constant. I have a list of EPA, Health Department, State Fire Marshal documents, not my documents, but these departments of specializations that document the enormous amount of violations that we have and the amount of contaminants that we've been exposed to. When we go
You
back
have about a minute, sir.
Oh, yes, actually 47 seconds. But when we go back to May, when the bridge project was going on, which is still going on, nobody warned us about E. coli in this system. And I'm wondering why. We know that that is a very dangerous element in water. But these are constant biohazardous elements that residents are being exposed to. I mean, your moral obligation is for the community, and you've fallen down on that. I'm through.
Okay. I would entertain a motion now to adjourn this meeting, signed aye, to go into an organizational meeting. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So we are in the organizational phase now. And we will begin with ordinance 2021-01, an ordinance approving the mayor's one-year appointment of Kathleen Ryan Esquire as solicitor for the village of Glendale, establishing compensation and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? I would just like to start it off by saying how much I've appreciated Ms. Ryan's wise counsel over the last year. She jumped right into a brand new situation, and she has really helped us out in a lot of occasions. She has a depth of knowledge of the subject that's been very impressive to me as we go along. So that is what I am saying about it. If anybody else has something they would care to add.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, before proceeding, I'd just like to quickly say that I would like to come back to a few concerns that Mr. Kevin Parrish has just raised. It's not appropriate to do so right now. It is not on the agenda right now. So in keeping with the agenda, I would like to say that ordinance 2021
01.
01 is substantially the same as ordinance 2020-01 and subsequently 2020-09. There is no increase in authorized payments at that rate. And aside from not including a statutory section of the Glendale Code in 2021-01, the ordinance is virtually identical. So I will support it.
Any other discussion? I don't think I asked for a motion to dispense with 3 reads. So I'm going to ask for that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right, then if there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
To dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the ordinance, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
We turn to ordinance 2021-02, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to employ a mayor's court magistrate and a prosecutor and declaring an emergency. I can tell you that my intention is to appoint our current magistrate and former solicitor, Laura Abrams, to be the magistrate, and our longtime prosecutor, Sandra Schilling, to be the prosecutor. Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
And do I have a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
To dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke, Ms.
Aye.
Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the ordinance, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
We turn now to verbal resolutions. The first one is 2021-01, the appointment of the mayor's standing committees. You've all seen this. It's very similar to what we've had before. So do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Verbal resolution 2021-02.
Do we not declare that as an emergency?
We don't have to do that on verbal resolutions, I don't believe.
It's in the minutes. The agenda.
Not on the verbal resolutions. I didn't put it in there.
Mhm.
I mean,
It says magistrate and prosecuting declaring an emergency.
that's in 2020. Yeah, we did that. And that one I did do the emergency on. Did I not, Madam Clerk?
You did.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
So now we're into the resolutions that don't require the waiving of 3 reads or emergency language.
I've only been out for about 10 minutes, so that's okay.
Okay. No problem. Okay, so let me see. Do I have a motion for the standing committee appointments?
So moved.
You did, yes.
Yes.
Okay. And a
We-
second?
Yeah, we voted. We
We voted for that.
voted.
01 is done.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm on 20. Oh, he got me all confused now. 2021-02, nomination and election of mayor pro tem. Do
That's
I have a
your job.
nomination?
Yes, I would like to nominate Mr. Bessel to continue as in the role of vice mayor.
Are there any other nominations? None? Was there a second on Mr. Bessel?
Second.
Mr. Mayor, a second is not needed.
Oh,
Recall?
you're right about that. You caught me once before on that too. It's in the rules.
Yes.
Okay. We don't need a second on that.
Right.
No. We have Mr. Bessel having been nominated and no other nominations being there. I would ask for everyone who agrees to signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Verbal resolution 2021-03, for the Glendale Planning and Historic Preservation Committee. I am renewing the appointment of Leslie Cooper, who is a current member of the commission. Her term there has expired at the beginning of the year. And she actually was appointed to the position at a special meeting of council on August 26th to fill a vacancy. And the term that she has been appointed to has ended. And so I am appointing her to a new term. Do I have a motion to approve this appointment?
I move to approve.
Okay, and I think I do need a second on this one. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, so any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Verbal resolution 2021-04, an appointment to the Park Board, which is the renewal of longtime member Bob Carey for a 4-year term to run from January 1st, 2021 to January 1st, 2025. Do I have a motion for this appointment?
So
So
moved.
move.
Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. And any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 None, motion carried. Motion 2021-05, review and adoption of the rules of council. We went over these rules last summer and fall and made some changes in October. I have heard no suggestion of changes since then. Do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
No,
Okay,
for reasons previously stated.
understood. So Madam Clerk, you did capture that no vote.
Correct, I have it.
Okay. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn from the organizational meeting and resume our regular meeting. Do I have that motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We are back in the organizational meeting. As I said, the first one on our agenda was going to be 2021-03 concerning the budgets. That has been removed for the reasons that I've already stated. So we will turn to ordinance 2021-04.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can I ask that we set a date and a time to discuss that ordinance so we can plan our month.
I thought I would do that when Mr. Bessel gave the Finance Committee report, but is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, great.
I just don't want it to fall between the cracks.
Nope, that was very much on my list. Ordinance 2021-04, an ordinance appointing Glendale volunteer firefighters, establishing a one-year probationary period, and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second,
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
second,
Second.
Okay. The chief is not able to be with us today, but I gather he has sent us his able assistant chief. Are you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Sometimes this computer is much smarter than I am. We
True for all of us. Anyways, I think we'd just like to know a little bit about the 3 people who are up for appointment.
all 3 have, they have no fire training whatsoever. One is in a class right now, and Anton Gentry, he is completed our Fire 1 class, but hasn't completed the testing for it. Ashley Rothenshaw is a animal tech, veterinarian tech, and shows much promise. She's in the Butler Tech program, getting her EMT, her Fire 2, and possibly inspector. Chelsea Gamble, I have very little information on her, but she does not have any fire experience. We will be putting her through our 36-hour in Fire 1 class.
Okay, thank you. Usually we get a little more about the candidates than that, but we know that the chief and you guys vet these people very well, and on that basis alone, I would be prepared to recommend voting for this ordinance. Do I have any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
To dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
aye,
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
aye,
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the ordinance, Mr. Bessel,
aye,
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
aye,
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried. We proceed to ordinance 2020-05, an ordinance accepting the resolution of recommendation of the Glendale Planning and Historic Preservation Commission, denying a petition to amend the zoning code of Glendale to permit short-term rentals as a condition of use in the B zoning district. And let's see, we are not putting this out as an emergency.
I'll move for the motion.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, let's, do I have a motion for the
Move for the
ordinance?
ordinance.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. But we're not, Kathy, can we waive 3 reads on this at least?
Yes, but there is no need for an emergency.
Right,
I'll move to dispense with 3 reads.
I'll second that.
motion.
Yeah.
so we don't have emergency language in the ordinance, which means that it will go into effect 30 days after it is passed, but we will be waiving the 3 reads, so it will, this will be the final. Is there, I think just to refresh people's memory, but also for the benefit of people who may be watching or listening to this, On July 27th, 2020, the owners of property located at 1313 East Willow Avenue petitioned the Planning Commission for an amendment to the zoning code of Glendale to permit short-term rentals as a conditional use in the B district. After discussion, hearing from witnesses and at duly called hearings, the Planning Commission recommended a denial of the requested amendment. And the matter came to the village council. Council also held a hearing, also listened to witnesses. And at the conclusion of deliberations on December 7th, 2020, the village council voted to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation, which was the denial of the amendment. And so this ordinance is a memorialization, a written statement of the decision of council. And it is to deny the proposed amendment to the zoning code. However, we are keeping in mind, this is a little confusing, but when we vote to approve or accept the recommendation, we are voting to deny the request for an amendment. So do I have a motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll? And we start with waiving 3 reads.
To dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
I'm sorry, I was muted. Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the ordinance, excuse me, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, motion carried. Resolution 2021-06, a resolution requesting the county auditor to make advance payments of taxes pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 321.34 and declaring an emergency. This is something we have to do every year. Otherwise, it speeds up the delivery of our property tax payments. Do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved. Second.
Okay. I don't know. Are there any questions about this? We do it pretty much every year, so. Okay, no questions. We will, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
To dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the resolution, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Carried, the resolution is approved. Resolution 2021-07, a resolution providing for review of the point of dispensing POD contact list and declaring an emergency. This list was distributed to council. We do not put it into the packet because it does contain cell phone numbers and information about people that are not elected officials, and so they aren't required to divulge all that. So do I have a motion for this resolution?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Second, and a motion to dispense with 3 reads.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, well, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
To dispense with the three reads, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the resolution, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried, resolution is approved. We turn now to the reports from the mayor, standing committees and special committees. And I will begin by noting that there were no births reported this last month. Truly hope people are having more babies without telling us about it. But anyway, and we did have 3 deaths in the village, which we are going to acknowledge when we are able to get together personally. So I'll begin. This mayor's report starts with, it's got to start with COVID. We have 45 active cases in Glendale. That's up from November, but holding steady through December. We urge all residents to use the necessary precautions that have been recommended, and you've heard so many times. Wear masks whenever you're with people outside your immediate circle or bubble. Stay at least 6 feet away from people who are, again, not in that group, and wash hands frequently. Glendale was very fortunate to have a testing program that called us and asked if they could locate and give tests in Glendale. And this was the Hamilton County Health Cooperative. And we were delighted to have them. They set up shop in Town Hall and upstairs, where there's an elevator to allow people to get there who can't handle stairs. And they were here with us for several months. And we were concerned that on December 29th, that perhaps that was their last scheduled date to be with us. But they just reached out to us a day or two last week and said that they will be back. They will be giving their tests on the same day each week, Tuesday, from noon to 4 o'clock. And now, is it 1 to 4 o'clock or noon, Wally? I want to be right on this.
It's noon to 4.
Wally, actually, Mayor, excuse me, with their extension of the testing into January, it's going from 1 to 4 p.m.
Ah, okay.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
I just wasn't sure on it. So, okay, good. But anyway, they will be here giving the tests on Tuesdays, at least through January. We don't know what happens after that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, can I just dive in for 1 second? I don't know if anybody else went there to be tested, but I did, and the system setup is excellent. It was 15 minutes door to door to go through the process, and best of all, the results. I received the results in 24 hours. That's pretty remarkable, but it really is a great service. So just a word of advice.
Yeah, no, thank you, Nancy. I personally have the same experience. I've had 2 tests there now, and as you say, they get their results. I don't think it was quite 24 hours, but it was definitely less than 2 days, and everything went very, very smoothly. So we're just delighted to have them back with us, and as I think the need for testing is going to be with us for a long time.
If I could add, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if anyone has realized this, but this is the first time we've used our pod since we enacted it some 15 years ago.
Pod being the point of dispensing, and this is dispensing of medical services.
It
is. And we may end up using it again if we are a site for dispensing vaccine. So we'll see. Next, we have just officially received notice, and I think we reported on this in the past, but it's good to have it official, that for the 22nd consecutive year, the Village of Glendale has received the designation as a Tree City USA from the National Arbor Day Foundation. And with that, we have also received a growth award, which reflects our increased efforts toward the tree planting and care in our village. I'd say about, less than half of the municipalities that receive the Tree City Award also receive a growth award. So it takes some work. Wally, I think maybe you can refresh my memory on this. At some point, we're going to be a Sterling City in the.
Well, that's right. We are going to be a Sterling City with this award. It'll be, David, correct me if I'm wrong, it'll be number 10 Growth Award. I believe there are 8 or 9 other communities in Ohio that have the Sterling Award that we are going to receive. So it's a rather exclusive club that we are joining.
Okay, very good. Moving on to other reports. Madam Clerk, would you call for the committee reports?
Finance Committee, please.
The Finance Committee did meet. We looked at budgets, reviewed the draft budget, and felt pretty good about it. But I think as some time has passed, as Don mentioned, Mayor Lofty mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, there's a desire to try to further reduce or try to even completely close the deficit that's represented by the current budget, which is a healthy exercise, I think. So what we'd like to do tonight is schedule that meeting. Our last budget meeting, we started at 4 o'clock and it seemed to work pretty well. So I would propose 4 o'clock again. I am flexible all of next week, except for there is a meeting already scheduled for Monday. So we might want to stay away from that day. This could be a lengthy meeting. I'm flexible on the 6th, the 7th, and any day the following week except for Monday. So do people prefer to avoid Friday? Should we focus on 7, 12, 13, 14? What's the best day for everybody there?
I propose the 12th.
12th? Can
At
everybody
4.
make the 12th? Is that a good day?
Sure.
Marilyn says, Marilyn, what's a good day for you? Can you suggest another day, Marilyn? You might be muted.
The 13th or the 14th could work for me.
All right. How does the 13th look for everybody?
Fine.
Yeah?
Good.
Okay.
If I may.
Take the 13th, and then also let's consider the 14th in case we need it. And it will be at 4 o'clock. With when you write it, Wally, the 14th, it would be if necessary.
Okay.
Any questions?
I
Or,
will be late to that meeting.
I'm sorry?
I can't make that meeting until about 6 o'clock.
On the 13th?
Yeah.
That's no good.
Well, what about the 14th, Alan?
14th is open.
Let's target that one then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we start at 4, we'll just make ourselves be done that day, and unless we want to use 15th as a backup. Is everybody available if we need it? Yeah.
Yes.
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 So we'll just shift it one day, Wally, the 14th and the 15th. So thanks, everybody.
Okay.
I appreciate the willingness to try to further correct this deficit situation. I'd prefer not to have any. And I think to work to try to reduce expenses in these meetings will be a good, healthy exercise for us. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Fire Committee, please.
Fire Committee did not meet. However, the work on the firehouse east facade continues. So that's the good news there. And I understand that Chief Reenan is here standing in for, Assistant Chief Reenan is standing in for Chief Hardwick to give us the update on the fire department.
Okay, back to, can everybody hear me? I'm never sure of the speaker thing.
Yes,
Hear you.
yes.
Okay. Of course, COVID being the number one topic of everything we're doing, the fire department set up the vaccine for 30 members of the PD and the fire department. It was supplied by Hamilton County. Being one who got the shot, hope it works good because I don't want the COVID-19. Our schedule for the second shot will be the 27th of January, and it will be at the station also. Our year-end report, I think I better tell us what we did last month before I do year-end. We made 14 fire responses. We made 14 EMS responses, and we had 2,816 volunteer hours, which is a goodly amount for the holiday season. So we're on track to keep the station manned. Our year end, we had a total of 42,268.5 hours. That's at the station and covering our 24/48s. Our total hours for the village run was 181. And let's see what our total responses for 2020 was 468. Not bad for a volunteer fire department. And if I'll entertain any questions. I'm sorry I wasn't more educated to it, but we're trying to get over the COVID thing. We've had a number of people out, but it affects our response and our coverage. Every fire department in the county is having the same problem. Woodlawn, Sharonville, everybody's got it. So we're exposed quite frequently. The demands of, we can't social distance real well and treat patients. So that's a problem. We're all mandated to wear masks and do so. So we're not doing bad, but I'd like to see those numbers down quite a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, I'd like to ask, who was reporting?
Chief Reenan?
Mr. Reenan, yes. If the department has received any notice or word about receiving the vaccine?
Not for January. We've already received 30 doses for the first go round, but we've not been asked or notified anything for the next generation where, you know, people 75 and over and all that. We've not had any contact for that yet.
And those 30 or so doses for the first go round, is that for the first responders, the
Yes, ma'am.
firefighters, the police officers?
Yes, we did. Let me see if I got these numbers right. We did 17 firefighters and our medical director and our EMS coordinator. We did 9 our police officers. And I might have missed a number here somewhere because we were changing in and out quite a bit.
And you did say that those same individuals will be receiving a second vaccine.
Yes, on the 27th of January.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Madam Clerk?
Okay. Laws and claims, please.
Okay. The Laws and Claims Committee did not meet in December. We do need to meet, and I am glad the Finance Committee has scheduled its meeting because I do consider that of eminent more importance than the Laws Committee meeting. So I would like to schedule a Laws Committee meeting the first week of February, and right now there's a lot of flexibility. So if committee members will look at their calendars, not right now, we can do this online. Hopefully we can come up with a date that first week of February. And that's the report from the Laws Committee.
Thank you. Police Committee, please.
Police Committee did not meet except for the budgetary review things. I've got, I just, like I said, Dave is in bed with the COVID. So I've got his report, and I think we've all got a copy of it. And I don't see anything that's out of bounds or looks that it would be unwieldy. I was just going over a few of the numbers of the time that our patrol spends on the road in these. We've got 4 cruisers, and you're looking at 8,600 miles on those 4 cruisers, and that doesn't sound like a lot of miles, but that represents, if you say it takes at 70 miles an hour 20 hours to drive 1,000 miles, you're looking at a lot of hours that these guys are sitting in these cars. I think that it's really a testament to our police force. I think that we've got one of the finest groups of men that I've ever worked with on our police department, and I want to thank them. We will have another police committee meeting after Dave gets back on his feet, and I'll get together with everybody and we'll schedule that. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Buildings and Historic Preservation, please.
Public meetings did not meet last month.
Okay. Recreations and Playgrounds, please.
Recreations and Playgrounds was pretty consistent with all of the committees. We did not meet. However, there was progress in the background. The bid went out and published for the upgrading and replacement of Cleveland Park, and the bids are due to be opened later this month, approximately January 25th. And at that point, we can put in motion the plans to install and complete, which should be done in the early spring. That's the current status.
Thank you very much.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, Jeff. Is it your hope that the committee will come together to look at the bids that are received later this month?
I hadn't thought about that, but certainly I would think that we could take a look at them. Wally, would you mind? Is that something that's required, or is this through the state contracts for the most part?
Well, it's interesting. I think that's a good point, Marilyn, because in this particular bid, there are alternates that go above and beyond the base bid. which there will need to be some decisions made. So maybe, Mr. Chairman, that's a good option to present to committee.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Streets, public improvements and lights.
The Streets Committee did not meet. There will be some further look at finances for the Streets Committee, though, as we go into our next round of Finance Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Utilities, please.
Utilities Committee did not meet in December. However, as we scheduled earlier today, we will meet next Monday, the 11th at 4 o'clock. And in the meantime, there appears to be no progress on the replacement of the water main. And Wally, if you take a couple of minutes, and there are a number of people who are curious as to what's going on, and it's for good reason.
Sure, I'll be happy to. Can I back up to a second? You said at 4 o'clock. I had my notes say you wanted to meet at 3 o'clock.
Thank you, sir. 3 o'clock. I am correct.
Okay. Good deal. Okay, all right.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, I checked with the engineer at Mr. Basemith's request, and they gave me an update that which I've observed as well. The existing and the new 10-inch water mains are both in service. They are installed, and they will stay in service until all the services and side street connections are made to the new water main. As of December 24th of last year, the following services have been transferred to the new 10-inch water main on Sharon Road. 31 total services have been transferred to the 10-inch water main. There are 46 services that remain to be transferred to the new water main. Among those that have been replaced, the 31, we have found brass connections, galvanized, lead, and copper of varying sizes. To this date, no one has requested under our special program of financing or getting the $2,000 replacement. No one has requested that their lines be replaced, but the process is not completed yet. As far as looking forward, the past week, they were on their holiday, so work stopped for a week. It is now resumed as of today. And our engineer estimates that we have 3 weeks remaining to complete the tie-ins of the residential houses, including those on South Troy. End of report.
Thank you. Yeah, and so they'll be finished in the next 3 weeks.
That is their estimate. We are hoping for that. Maybe 4, maybe 2.5, but we're shooting for 3.
And no snow, please.
Mr. Chairman, as I said earlier, I would like to just make one brief comment on remarks earlier by resident Kevin Parrish. As a councilwoman, I'd like to thank him particularly for his diligence in looking into concerns with the village freshwater and wastewater systems. We know we have a lot of repair work that's needed, and I sincerely appreciate him bringing his documented and research findings to our attention. And as before, I would ask that we discuss this and look into these to see that redress is underway and appropriate repairs are being made when the Utilities Committee meets the next time. We had canceled the meeting for necessity in December. And so in January, when we meet, this coming Monday, is it? I believe. Perhaps we can schedule this on the agenda for that meeting. Thank you.
I would just like to say for the record that the Village of Glendale has in the past had some issues with its stormwater system. These issues were fully known to Ohio EPA. We have been working with Ohio EPA diligently to remedy the problems. Ohio EPA, if they felt there was real danger to our residents, would certainly have shut us down at this point. And the same is true of our water system, that if there were any danger that Ohio EPA, based on our reports, which are very accurate and complete, if they were to see problems, they would also shut us down. They have not Instead, they have generally been very positive about the way we have worked towards resolving issues. When you have a 100-year-old system, there are places where you're going to have issues. And we have been moving forward with it. We will continue to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have confidence in our ability to do so, and I would like to also be respectful of the resident for bringing these matters to our attention. And hopefully we can discuss this further at a more opportune time during the Utilities Committee meeting. I don't feel comfortable sitting here, hearing these kinds of remarks and not making a comment or acknowledging the work that he has done. And in that regard, I make my statement, not to cast aspersions on the village, but to say that matters have been brought to our attention which warrant further discussion. Thank you.
Marilyn, I think that if it deserves further discussion, the committee meeting is not the appropriate place for that, because I personally am not familiar with that detail. I don't know, I have not seen any of the documents that are involved, and it has been addressed many times by the village. So I'd like to reserve that for some other time.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, rather, it's the chair's prerogative. I'm sure there are other committees that could consider it. I asked the Utilities Committee because it is a matter within the province of the Utilities Committee. I myself am not familiar with it, so I can understand what you are saying. I myself am not as familiar with what Don is saying, but I'd rather us discuss it in a committee meeting more so than in a council meeting. And when a resident comes before us with documentation, it behooves us to look at it. So if you're not comfortable or uncomfortable in any manner bringing it up in the Utilities Committee, I will seek another committee to bring it up. It could definitely be brought up in the Laws Committee, and I'm not averse to doing that.
Okay,
Thank you.
perhaps you would like to contact Mr. Cordes and Mr. Bell and find out, get some of the story, the backstory on this before you decide where you want to take it up. That's all I want to ask.
Absolutely. And it's not whether I want to take it up or whether it should be taken up, but they should be contacted in any event because they are the appropriate staff people.
They are.
It's not to say there is wrongdoing on the part of the village, but for there to be a diligent conversation about it, we would definitely need Mr. Cordes and Mr. Bell's input. And as I said earlier, I would hope the input of the Utilities Committee, but if not, another committee.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you.
not sure that I want, and there are reasons for this, for Mr. Bell or Mr. Cordes to be presenting before a committee. So but there are reasons and we can talk about them.
I agree with you. Before committee rather than before a council meeting. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
We turn to the reports from the clerk. Madam Clerk, do you have any report? Anything to report? You report so well on the minutes that's all.
I have nothing else.
And our treasurer, I believe, does have a report.
Yeah, David, I'm going to ask for your help. I sent an email out to all of council, and if you could pop that up on the screen real quick. Just the email, not the attachment.
You have to give me 1 second when I dig it up.
Yep.
Another second, I'm sorry, it doesn't seem to want to.
2 o'clock, around 2 o'clock.
There we are.
Maybe, I don't know if you can make it a little bigger, just the numbers. Yeah. So I wanted to just kind of walk you through this thing real quick. This basically represents our overall investment for the village. And when I say overall investment, you have to think that the village at any point in time has between 11 million and 12 million dollars in cash to operate and in reserves and in investments. So if you look at that, we ended up the year including accrued interest at $230,000 for the year, which is pretty good given where we are with the rate of return that we get with the Ohio Revised Code guidelines. We've got about a 2% return overall, which is not too bad. Specifically, if we look at VPGI, which is the account that we look at to basically gain interest to be able to spend that towards capital purchases, our budget was $213,000 and we exceeded that by $11,000, which wasn't bad. And I pointed out that the investments are in Huntington and in CF Bank. CF Bank actually in these times has actually been pretty good because their return is slightly less than 1% in a type of a money market account. Actually, it's called a CIC, community. It's an investment corporation system or something like that. Anyways, so CF Bank has really been helping us out quite a bit. As we have cash that comes available from Huntington Investments, we're actually directing that cash to CF Bank because they have a better short-term return than what Huntington can offer us. The other one that is in red is the general operating account, which is basically our checking account and that we use to run all of our expenses through. Our budget was $5,000 and we only got about $1,000 so in interest. The enterprise account, which has about a running balance of about $1.4 million over the year. We missed our expected interest return on that by about $6,000. And mainly because the returns from Fifth Third on basically daily investments are very, very low. 0.01, 0.005. I mean, very, very short amounts. So if you get scrolled up real quick. So the last piece that I wanted to show you guys is, as we all know, the village has a CIC, and we were able to sell some property that the council gave the CIC to sell. And our balance in our CIC account is at $28,000, and that's after we paid our bills to the village for the value of the property, which they owned, and also for our legal expenses to form the CIC and the sale of property. So that's kind of a full disclosure across all the investments that we have in the village. And you have the other spreadsheet that shows the December investment report. But I just wanted to go through this real quick with you guys, and also so that it's in the system. Any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Treasurer. Usually I associate a budget with money to be spent. In this case, the word budget is used to a target for interest or earnings?
Yes, for earnings, yes.
Okay.
And it shows up in our budgeting system as part of the revenue stream that offsets expenses.
Mike, I have a question. When you say the number, including accrued interest, is that interest that has accrued and will be paid in January?
Yes, yes. But from a book standpoint, that would show up in the 2020 account.
Earned through December, basically, and paid
Yes.
January 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe for the benefit of some people who might still be with us at this point, I just want to make note that I'm sure many people in this village are earning much better rates of return than we are. And the reason for that is that they are allowed to invest. They invest in equities, and the stock market has been doing really great. Well, it's been a roller coaster ride, but it's done well. We are not allowed to invest in those things. In fact, we are only allowed to invest in treasury bills and CDs. I think there are some corporate bonds that we can buy, but basically we're treasury notes and CDs are the bulk of our permitted investments, which are earning, as everybody knows, absolutely paltry rates of interest. So I have tasked myself and with Mr. Bogrand's help to explore ways that we can find other investment instruments that will be generate a better rate of return. It's nothing that's going to happen short term, but we're in such a situation now where we earn so little on our investments that we need to explore every possible opportunity to improve.
Well
And
said. Yep.
With that, any more? I'm
That's
sorry. Okay, so we've received some financial reports, and I just want to read them through here. Read the titles, and then I'll ask for a motion to acknowledge receipt. So we have the 2021-01, the general checking account certification for the payment of bills. The 2021-01 enterprise checking for the certification for the payment of certain bills. We have the cash transactions report for the year 2020 through November. We don't yet have December numbers yet. And we have the revenue report for 2020, again through November. We have the expenditures report for 2020 through November. And finally, if you opened your police committee documents, you would also find the financial report from the mayor's court. Do I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of these reports?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And with that, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Entertained.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, and our next meeting will be February 1st at 7 o'clock.
Happy New Year's all.
Thank you, Mr.
Better
Mayor.
than 2020 all.